So I'm going to show you Judy's Magic Cast On. Now this is a cast on where you need 2 needles. You can either use 2 double point needles, you can use 2 circular needles, or as I'm doing in this case, you can use 1 long circular needle in the magic loop method, and that's what I'm doing here. This cast on creates a closed tube, so it is quite often used for things like toe-up socks. What you're going to do is hold your 2 needles together. You're going to bring your working yarn to the front, place that over your thumb. You're going to have your tail yarn at the back. That's going to be over your index finger. So you're going to hold it like that, have your 2 needles together, and then you're going to go into the yarn like that, bring your needle down and around. So what you end up with is just the strand of yarn is going to be twisted around that upper needle. For this cast on, you will always be casting on in pairs of stitches. I have done a stitch on the upper needle. Now I'm going to do a stitch on the lower needle. You will take the yarn over your index finger, bring it around that lower needle, and wrap it from front to back. Now you're going to take the yarn on your thumb. You're going to bring that through the needles, over the rear needle from front to back. And you're just going to keep doing this over and over. So yarn on the index finger, over the front needle from front to back, yarn on the thumb, over the top needle, front to back. You are always going to be casting in pairs, and you will always have the same number of stitches on the top needle as on the bottom needle, which means because your first stitch was cast onto the top needle, your last stitch will always be on the bottom needle. And I'm trying to hold this a little far apart here so you can see it forms this kind of figure 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to cast on 8 stitches total. So because we have just worked a stitch on the bottom, we now want to go to the top. So bring your yarn between the needles, over the top needle from the front to the back. Bring the yarn on your index finger, wrap it around the lower needle, working from the front to the back. So we've got 8 stitches on here. Now, to actually start knitting, you're going to just secure your tail yarn here. You're going to take your working yarn. You want to rotate your needles. And I'm not sure if you can see here, but because that last stitch was wrapped very loosely, by holding your tail yarn out of the way, you have now secured this final stitch that you put on your needle. All right, and again, I am working the magic loop method, so I am going to pull that lower needle out, bring it around, and I am now going to start knitting this top row. And again, I am working very loosely, so you can see what I'm doing. In fact, let me tighten that up a little bit. There we go. And you are just going to knit these 8 stitches that you cast on to the top needle, or rather onto the lower needle, which is now the top. Knit that last stitch, okay? Now you need to knit this set of stitches. So again, working magic loop, you're going to pull the lower needle out, pick up your yarn again, and start knitting the stitches on the top needle. And you're just going to keep doing this over and over. Okay. Now again, it doesn't look like it, but you are working in the round here. Let me tighten that up. And you can tell that because if you look at the stitches that are on your needle here, this is stockinette. You can see you've got the smooth V's. If you turn it over, you can see that these are purl bumps that you are working. So this is the cast on. I want to show you what it looks like after you've been at it for a little while. All right, I said when I began that this cast on is quite often used for toe-up socks, and so I have started a sockish swatch here. This is where I've cast on, and then I kind of did some increases and knit a little more here. But what I really want to show you, and this is the magic part of the cast on, you cannot tell where I cast on those initial 8 stitches. There is no ridge, there is no edge. It is a completely closed cast on. And the only sign that you've actually done a cast on is this one little end that you will weave in. So this is great for socks, it's great for stuffed animals, it is great for anything where you want a closed cast on to be knitting a closed tube. And that is Judy's Magic Cast On. Thanks for watching.